Before we get into today's show, the most comments winner, as promised from one of our recent videos, was Johnnie Henry. So let's up the ante and run it back one more time. Beyond just the shout out, whoever comments the most on today's show is going to get a free entry into our watch party raffle this upcoming Saturday for the Cowboys-Raiders preseason game. So flood the comment section. Johnny had about 130 comments, so got to comment a lot if you're going to win that free raffle entry. And you'll get a shout out too, of course. All right, coming up on today's show, some roster moves that are going to be coming and or already have come for the Dallas Cowboys. The latest on CeeDee Lamb, a potential Trey Lance trade. I have a lot of thoughts on that. And injury updates to begin and end the show. So first up, the two more new ones that came during Cowboys practice today. Brandon Cooks left practice early today with what has been termed knee soreness per Nick Harris. Reportedly not a major concern. Sounds like he's fine. But near as I can tell, this wasn't he got hurt during a drill. More of it was bothering him before the drills got going. So it wasn't like there was a non-contact or anything like that. Walked off the field. It wasn't carded. So I doubt you're not going to see him this week, obviously. He's not going to play in the preseason game. We'll see if he's out there the next time the Cowboys practice after that game, but doesn't seem too severe there. Also okay is Donovan Wilson. He and Deron Bland collided on a pass play. Sounded like Wilson banged knees. He got checked out and actually came back during practice. So he very much is okay. There's nothing to be concerned about there for Donovan Wilson. All right, over to some roster moves here that the Dallas Cowboys have been making. So if you haven't paid attention the last 24 hours, Cowboys have done a lot of stuff relative for them. They traded for defensive tackle Jordan Phillips late last night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We'll break that down a little bit. We broke it down in depth on an at-home video. Early this morning, 7 a.m., they signed Carl Lawson. Now, to make room for those two guys, they have to make two roster moves. One of them has already been made. They have cut defensive tackle Carl Davis. Now, that one maybe isn't a huge surprise given the fact that Davis wasn't playing very well. So Davis is on his way out. Phillips and Davis, that's a one-to-one replacement there. Now, to make room for Jordan Phillips, something else has to happen still. And as of filming, that fourth move has not been announced. They might announce it today, but Phillips and Lawson have not yet arrived into Oxnard, so they might be able to just wait a day there. Do not be surprised if it is putting Earl Bostic on IR ending his season. He is headed to Dallas to have surgery after he suffered a lower leg injury, ankle, shin, whatever it was, at practice against the Rams. So high expectation there that Earl Bostic ends up going on potentially IR. That would be the fourth move, and not cut anybody instead. All right, rapid fire. If you missed the breaking news last night, a 7th-round pick and Jordan Phillips coming to Dallas in 2025 for a 6th-round pick in 2025 to the Giants. So you needed a fatty. You got a fatty up front. Carl Lawson, who I wanted them to sign when they worked him out, along with Shaka Toney and Al-Quadin Muhammad. Cowboys then kind of changed their mind and eventually do bring in Carl Lawson. So good news on that front. I like that pickup a lot as we broke down this morning. I am not heartbroken over the loss of Carl Davis. I didn't think he was that great. Not everyone agreed on that one. That's perfectly fine, by the way. He was also a bit nicked up, so I am curious once the NFL transaction wire comes through if that is announced as waived injured or not, but it also just might be a straight-up release. So acknowledging it is August, and the splashy moves are few and far between even available, grade those roster moves by the Dallas Cowboys. A, B, C, D, or F at the pinned comment of today's show. Cowboys need a defensive end help. There's no way around it. They're putting Chauncey Golston more at defensive end, it sounds like. I feel a lot better about this room with Carl Lawson in town. I think he can be your Dante Fowler replacement. Tank Lawrence, Marshawn Nealon, Chauncey Golston can be more your run-stopping, focused defensive ends. Obviously, they help on pass rushing opportunities too, right? Micah Parsons, Carl Lawson, those guys are pass rushers. So we will keep an eye on that front there. Junior Fehoko is fighting for his roster life. Darrell Johnson's a bit nicked up right now. Tyler Sweet, Al-Quadin Muhammad. You're going to carry 4 true defensive ends in Micah, Tank, and Lawson and Nealon, and maybe some rotational guys at DT. Of note, by the way, this happened more than 24 hours ago, it was during our at-home on joint practice takeaways, Cowboys did waive injured Shaka Toney, and I don't know why anyone would claim him off of waivers. So when that is finalized in like 15 minutes after we film this live, he's going to revert to IR. As part of that transaction, they did sign Cole Cabral, who I am curious where he plays. He's gotten reps at center in the UFL. 6'5", 304 is more of a tackle build than it is a center build. For the purposes of balancing out the roster math on the depth chart graphic here, we'll put him at guard. You're thin at tackle right now because Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele are not going to play the entire preseason, nor should they. Guyton probably gets his snaps ramped up. He's not going to be out there for 100 snaps or for even 50 snaps, you know? So that leaves Awesome Richards and Matt Waletzko, and then you got to try Josh Ball over there. By the way, quick note on defensive tackle. Feel better about your nose guards. Mozzie Smith, Jordan Phillips, Justin Rogers. I think that works for your fatties on the interior. Chauncey Golson and Fehoko and Nealon, are they DEs or DTs? And if they're DEs, I have some anxiety about your three-technique depth behind Osa Odigizua. So we'll see what happens on that front. Today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. Did you know that most Americans think they spend about $62 a month on subscriptions? However, the real number is closer to $300. That is literally thousands of dollars a year, half of which you might have forgotten about. That's where Rocket Money helps you out. It is a personal finance that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. Also, you can grow your savings. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate to lower your bills for you. They have over 5 million users, and it's a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Rocket Money can find a subscription you don't want and cancel it all in just a few taps. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That is rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Let's hit the latest on CeeDee Lamb. Clarence Hill reporting the Cowboys are still not close enough on a CeeDee Lamb contract extension. Here's what Hill wrote. Per source, the Cowboys remain a few blocks away with their best offer not yet at $33 million annually. There is more to getting a deal done than that, as cash flow and structure are part of the process. Work still must be done in all areas, but there is no one on the Cowboys who doesn't believe ground will be made up and Lamb will be back with the team before the start of the season. Look, that is a similar refrain we've heard from anybody linked to the NFL that would actually have good insight there and not just saying stuff to say stuff or put fancy graphics of trading him to the Chiefs on social media. That nobody around the league thinks there's any other scenario than CeeDee Lamb is back with the Cowboys for week one with a big fat new extension, i.e., there is no trade coming. I have no concerns about that happening. I'm just annoyed it hasn't happened yet for an extension. And I'm not even going to enjoy it that much because we've waited too long for it. So prediction time. Will CeeDee Lamb get paid in the next week? So next Thursday, end of day, will a deal go down? Y for yes, N for no in the comment section of today's video. The Cowboys tended to say the same stuff. It's hard on us. We're trying to juggle Lamb and Dak and Micah. And I'm honestly tired of hearing that because when would have been a great time to work hard and get something done was a damn year ago or at least several months ago. I am frustrated that the Cowboys have dragged their feet in the manner that they have because it doesn't make any sense. They could have had this done a while ago. If they had worked as hard as they are now 5 months ago, maybe we wouldn't be here. Now, I will make note the Clarence Hill report does directly contradict the Pretty Ricky latest report. Says that the Cowboys have offered Lamb a 4-year contract worth $33.5 million per year. Now, obviously, the Lamb number, or the Hill number, and the Ricky number are not the same. I do think there is a way that both of those reports are correct. And the way that potentially, this is all hypothetical, because one of them just might be wrong. wouldn't be the first time someone's been wrong in this whole debate, and I think Ricky was probably wrong about the close part, might be right on the money part. I think it's maybe worth noting that Hill did not write largest offer is not yet $33 million. He wrote the best offer. So best offer might refer more to the guaranteed money and the structure of a contract from Lamb's perspective than best offer in terms of the average per year. Because I don't think the Cowboys ever really been that far off in the average per year figure. Now, I think from what we've seen so far, despite Ricky's really good track record on almost every other team, Clarence Hill might have the edge on the CeeDee Lamb conversation and news there. But I do think the average per year is going to come in probably around 34. Now, A.J. Brown's extension, by the way, is only a 3-year extension. And in general, every year you add to a contract, you want to put $2 million to it because that's how it typically gets balanced out with extra years and voidability, etc. So, again, I think you're probably closer to 35 than you are 32. Cowboys will eventually get there. The real tricky business is the guaranteed money. There's a big gap between $110 million guaranteed for Jefferson, $84 million guaranteed for A.J. Brown. The sooner this gets done, the better. Who here thinks that CeeDee Lamb in the next 3 years is going to fall apart and be a terrible football player? I don't. I am not worried about what the, haggling over the last $10 million guaranteed because I kind of think he's going to get it. We will be live late night Cowboys Report After Dark style for the Cowboys versus Raiders preseason game. That is a 9 p.m. Central Time start. We will go live an hour before that. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Let's have this Trey Lance to the Minnesota Vikings conversation. There's been plenty of speculation, hopes, ideas, theories, insert whatever buzzword you want to use there, on the Cowboys trading Trey Lance to Minnesota because they lost J.J. McCarthy to injury. It makes sense, right? There are some reasons why this makes sense and some reasons why it doesn't make sense. First up on the it makes sense category. The Vikings had interest previously. They expressed interest, allegedly, in Trey Lance. Perhaps that's still there. Behind starter Sam Darnold, the backups are Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall as QB 2/3. Those guys ain't good. And in reality, Trey Lance might not end up being quarterback 2 in Dallas. As it sits currently, with still 2 preseason games to go, and that does matter, it's Cooper Rush has the lead over Trey Lance. So then the reasons why it doesn't work, right? Guys, Trey Lance hasn't been very good. So what's his role in Minnesota? Like, if Trey Lance can't beat out Cooper Rush as the backup QB, do we think he's going to win the backup quarterback job behind Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall, all while learning a new offense in a span of like a month? And not only that, the Cowboys want to bail on this one already. I'm not so sure because of what they've invested, and I think if Lance is going to develop, it's probably going to be here because instead of getting better and focus time on that, you would have to focus time on learning a new playbook. So I got more thoughts on this here. But what will Dallas end up doing, actually doing with Trey Lance? T for trade, K for keep, sound off in the comments of today's video. I have said this before and I'm going to say it again. A Trey Lance trade makes sense for Dallas if he doesn't start to get better and pick up his level of play. But in that scenario, who wants Trey Lance? And if Trey Lance continues to not be very good, who's going to trade for him? And if Trey Lance does showcase some good things, well, maybe you want to keep him. So you've had that kind of weird dichotomy of the reason why so many people I saw from Cowboys fandom were like, trade Trey Lance is because they don't want him anymore. So then why would the Vikings want him? I think that is a very real, logical issue that I'm having a tough time overcoming. All right, a couple quick rapid-fire injury updates here. We mentioned the Earl Bostic surgery one. Sounds like the injuries to Damone Clark and DeMarvion Overshown were very minor. Clark going to be ramped up. He's not going to play in the preseason game. Overshown was actually back out there in pads today. So good news on that front there for the Cowboys. Slightly banged up linebackers.